know what items are coming forward that you and your groups are aware of, so that we can help push that out. The other thing that you can do is become involved with the Rivers Coalition. There are lots of committees that need to be filled. There are lots of roles for you to perform. You know, I am involved with the planning committee, and so we're trying to get speakers on a regular basis. If you know somebody or have a connection to somebody and you want to hear them speak, or you think that we'd like to hear them speak, please let us know how we can facilitate that. I think this is a really great forum for expressing good ideas about how to get to a point of zero discharges to the east. It's a really good forum for issues that are relevant to the St. Lucie and the Indian River Lagoon. But we're also pretty engaged citizens with water issues around the state. And when we could use your help, and I think that your groups could probably use our help. And I think that the more we share, the better off we're gonna be. Jackie, you had
What committees are open, so people know?
So, well, all committees need to be populated by more.
What are the names of them?
So we have an event committee, which is trying to get engaged with the community. We need your volunteers.
Who's the chair?
The chair is actually Kenny Hinkle.
Kenny. Kenny, do you need anybody on that committee?
I've got people working with me, Kim Stryber, Troy Brown, and others.
Do you want anybody else?
I'll take anybody.
Is there anybody who would like to be on the event committee with Kenny?
Just so you know, yesterday, I saw that Hurricanes in Palm City was having One Florida Foundation come and do an event there, and they get 10% of the profits. So I called the manager and spoke with him and said the Rivers Coalition would like to come on another day. So he booked us immediately, and he found out, did some research, and he found out what they were doing, and so he may be canceling them.
Okay, well so are there any other committees that you need help on? They need to know the names of the committees.
Let me work on it.
Absolutely.
I have my card and cell phone number if anybody wants.
Okay.
Okay.
I personally just think that today we can walk out of here with 3 people who make, and I can name you if you don't want to do it, because I do have some ideas, but I'm hoping someone will want to do it. You were one of my people. Do you want to do it? No, I'm here. Who would like to be in charge of communicating with the state legislature? Trying to get people to write, who would be interested in, maybe you could work with Congressman Mast for congressional, or maybe you would work with state. Is there anybody in here, please, somebody raise their hand. Okay, Mrs. Bausch.
Right, I'm already FNPS policy, and
Okay.
we're big with that.
That's great, so you are interested,
Right.
that is great. I'm gonna put your name on the list, and I'm gonna just get 3 people before I stop. Yes. Okay, Alex. Anybody else who's interested in a state committee or the state, getting involved on a state level, trying to learn how to communicate with state politicians and writing state politicians. How about local? Is anybody interested in local? Are you?
That's
I'm
not,
already doing that with City of Port St.
Would you do it with us too?
I'd be glad to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you got a list of committees and their
Okay.
responsibilities are
Tell
on
me,
the list.
and so I think that's good. 2 out of 3, we have 2 people, and even though I'm not on the board anymore, I will help facilitate those people getting involved with more of you in this room, because the bottom line is we have to get involved ahead of time, not just when the crisis happens, okay?
Up there is a list of committees.
There's on the screen is a list of committees, and to get involved, that's posted on our website, right, Barbara?
yes,
So it's posted on the website. Please look at the description, see if you can help out. The chairs are listed there, like Jackie was saying, or Kenny Hinkle for the nominating, other committees, strategic planning. We need some help and members can get involved. The other thing, before we get back to Jim, members can get involved, and we already are. Your organization is probably posting things on Facebook, probably communicating please also link in to the Rivers Coalition so that the coalition can then redistribute that and repost it out into the community. So it's really important that you as a coalition member of your organization not only take back information to your organization from the Rivers Coalition, but also repost things and post things through social media. And Blair Wickstrom is taking on a revamping of the website to help out, to redo our website, to upgrade it, so that it can link in all those things. Yep, Ben?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I'll just speak.
Go ahead. Here.
I just wanted to say, Alex and I are community resources also. The two of us have a lot of legislative experience. I don't talk much about it, but I'm always happy to, especially for the Legal Policy Committee. You know, my role in the city is one thing, but also as a community resource, I have no problem helping to interpret whatever needs to be interpreted, because we understand how complex federal law is, state law, and then certainly local laws. There are a lot of agencies, they all interact in very, very unique and extremely nuanced ways. We have that kind of background. We're not all knowing, but we can interpret, we can go in and research, and we can do a lot of that work for you. Our jobs, and I've talked to Alex many times about this, I feel like it's our priority to be mediators as best as we can, to take your concerns, your priorities, make sure the right people get the right information. You know, PIO, Public Information Officer, is getting the right information to the right people at the right time so they can make the right decision. That's the most important critical piece of this whole element. Think of it like a machine. If you're not getting the oil to where it needs to go, the machine ain't running. So at the end of the day, we're a resource. You know, I can't necessarily serve on a committee myself just because of the position. There's you know, just some ethical guidelines, but there's absolutely no reason why I, Alex, or someone else similar to us can't provide that kind of information or interpretation. So if you have any questions, I'm here, and I know Alex is always happy to help as well.
This is a work in progress. I mean, we're evolving and trying to grow and get better. Dan, you want to go with Diane?
Thanks, Jim. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The lake stage today is 11.41. So yeah, it's coming down. 1 week ago it was 11.54 feet, so about a tenth of a foot in a week. Are you going to talk, Paul, about lake levels? Okay. Prior to the LORS schedule, the average for today would have been 13.76 feet today, so
Wow.
big difference. I will let you know that I noticed an email come through earlier this week that the DEP has been proactive this year, and they have gone and taken some background algae samples in Lake Okeechobee last week, and the 2 background samples did not detect any microcystis, so that's a good thing. I'm glad that they're being proactive this year. Our current salinities in the estuary are looking good, between 19 and 25 parts per thousand. And then the Enterococcus levels from the Department of Health, 3 of the 4 sites are in the good range, with the exception of Layton Park, which has been in the moderate range for about 3 weeks. Not sure what's going on there. I talked to you last month about our Be Floridian Now campaign that we kicked off with our Follow the Flock. If you've seen these signs around town, did you see these? That means these businesses are supporting water quality. And if you have a business and you want to support water quality with our flamingo flock, just contact Katie Bose. Katie, raise your hand. So get with her, and she can deliver some flamingos to your business. One of our projects is finally started construction, the Willoughby Creek Stormwater Treatment Area. If you've driven along Dixie, you might see some clearing and grubbing going on. That construction was awarded to J.W. Cheatham, and the facility is expected to be completed in the next year. One of the other meetings that I don't know if anyone knows about, it is next Tuesday in the morning at 10 o'clock out at the South Florida Water Management District Field Station in Okeechobee. The district has, the DEP has released their impaired waters listing for Group 1, which includes Lake Okeechobee. There's other impairments to the lake besides phosphorus, if you didn't know that. So they're going to be discussing those impaired listings April 30th, 10 o'clock out in Okeechobee. Our next water ambassador meeting is on May 21st, and that will be at the Port Salerno Community Center, if anyone's interested. Also, one of our staff, Katie, participated with FOS and a Sea Grant agent on an oyster survey last Wednesday. The team found large, healthy oyster populations in both natural and constructed reef sites. Many adult specimens were over 4 inches, indicating, believe it or not, that they survived the past 2 summers. Yeah, so they're adapting in some way. Oh, no, did Jackie know they didn't talk
No,
about it?
right here.
Oh, okay.
Where did they find them?
They were across from the hospital in the same room.
In the middle.
That's great.
Yes. That's kind of cool. Yeah, bionic oysters.
Bionic oysters.
And last but not least, Barbara asked me to talk about the Lake Okeechobee schedule operating manual. Martin County hit the send button on Monday. Our main document is 66 pages along with our letter and our scoping comments and our other documentation that we provided. I wanted to let you know that water quality was the most formative aspect of our comments that we provided. And we want them to consider water quality in all ways and development of alternatives and performance measures. Another thing that we brought to light in our comments was the water transfers rule. And, having the Corps tell us, are the estuary and the lake 2 different distinct water bodies? We want you to tell us that. And then the other main one was, other 2 that I think were important were the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan has water quality goals in that. And we're not really getting there, even though we're building these projects and moving along. So we're asking them to, come back into sort of goals and objectives and to get where we need to be with our water quality. And then we also brought up the harmful algal blooms. And we know from 2016 studies that the microcystis can become airborne. So we want them to consider both water quality with harmful algal blooms from when they're making the discharge to the estuary, and what happens, when it's the water's being agitated. Like if you've been out at the S80 structure when the water's going through, the water mists, yet people are still out there fishing and everything when the algae's going through. So we want them to consider some of these things as the future as we go down this path. That's all I have today. Questions?
There's host cyanobacteria on the Caloosahatchee. Have you had any word from testing from their counties?
No, I haven't. I have the ability to go into the database and see what levels they were, but I haven't checked on Caloosahatchees. I did check on those 2 Lake Okeechobee ones. And I haven't heard from anybody that we've had any in Martin County. Jackie?
You mentioned that the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, had tested already on Lake Okeechobee. Do you know where they tested on Lake Okeechobee?
I looked this morning. I couldn't find the location, but they were calling them background samples, Lake Okeechobee background. So in the 2016 bloom and the 2018 bloom, which is really weird, we both found, we knew on May 9th of 2016 and May 9th of 2018, there was a bloom in the lake. So it was the same date in 2016 as it was in 2018. So I'll be looking on May 9th in Caspio algae bloom database.
Interesting. Thanks.
Paul Lord?
Yeah. I was wondering, do you have any update on the reproduction of the oysters up and down the east coast of Florida? According to Brevard County and Tom McCudden, who has a facility over here on FOS on the Uncommon area, they're not reproducing because of immature eggs. And they said it's quite widespread and involves hundreds of millions of infertile eggs.
Wow, I had not heard of that. Katie, you were with the oyster folks. Did you hear
I've
anything
heard
along those lines?
one study about that, but it's still some preliminary data, but they are getting more information to see how.
Well, Tom just finished another study on it, and they were most of them were immature. There is some concern as to what is the cause of it, and I just wanted people to be aware this could be a serious problem. It may not be, but nobody seems to understand why they're so immature.
Are those in only the cultured ones, or are they in the wild?
The zoo ones are all.
Wild population?
Yeah, well-
Are they the same criteria or hard as the?
I believe so, but I don't have that information.
We just gotta
But I believe so.
learn more about that.
Right, but I just wanted to make people aware that there is this issue going on, that's all.
Yeah, on behalf of Bull Sugar, we'd like to say thank you to Martin County and thank you to the city of Stewart. I haven't gotten through your all's reports yet, but I've heard from other people that have and say they're really excellent. So we really appreciate that on a community level. I was wondering, are they posted on your website, and if they're not?
Yes, that is on our Rivers Coalition website, that full report.
Oh, this?
Yes.
I don't know if it is on the counties. We were all just so tired from 6 weeks of trying to
Martin
get this
County.
put together
Yeah.
that I don't know if we've talked to our communications folks yet, but I'll go back to the office.
We'd love to share it because we think it's great.
Okay, I'm sure it is, I just haven't checked myself, just spoken to Martha Ann. Great, thank you.
Yeah, the Martin County comments are a treasure trove of information, so you gotta get your hands on them. I'm Paul Gray, I work for Audubon. As Diane mentioned, Okeechobee's at about 11.4 feet today. That's really low. At this stage, about 90% of the marsh is dry. And right now, there's no snail kites nesting on the lake. Wading birds really can't nest. So normally, we wouldn't want it to be that low this time of year, but this is an unusual year because Irma wiped out about 60 square miles of plant communities. And so Jackie came out with us on Monday in the boat, and we rode around the outside of the marsh because most of it's dry. But there are a lot of birds, and actually we were seeing little baby Gallicinaria, the eelgrass, sprout. And that's what we want. We want those guys to sprout. The lake's very low, the sunlight's reaching them. There is a concern about water supply shortages if we don't have a wet summer. And going back to this theme of contacting the district and telling them what you want, the new governing board is being asked about these deep injection wells. The old governing board was trying to get some pilot projects. And those are wells that would cost hundreds of millions of dollars. And then when we had a wet event, they would pump all the water down the ground, never to be seen again. It's just a very expensive new way to drain water. And with this drought right now, they say, well, we won't get rid of water we won't need in the future, but we need water right now because if we have a dry summer, we will have a hard dry season next year. So these wells are not really, to us, a very good solution. We need to, when it's wet, we need to catch water, and then when it gets dry like now, we'll have more water available for all of our needs. So if there's one thing you want to do, go to the website and say, you don't think deep injection wells are the best solution. They were sold to the CERB people. The CERB people said that's not the way to manage our water. And right now, people are trying to resurrect it, so that's just one recommendation for me, so thanks very much.
Resurrecting it as ASRs like they previously have?
Well, ASR is,
Estuary protection.
yeah, ASR, you can retrieve the water,
Right.
and so that has utility for both wet periods and dry periods, but deep injection, well, you're just wasting water, it's just
Putting
another.
it down to the
Yeah,
older zones.
yeah, we don't need more drainage, there's 5 water supply management divisions in South Florida, and all of them look forward 20 years and say, do we have enough fresh water for our future? And all 5 of them say no. So we need to be building water storage projects too, not just water disposal projects. So that's our opinion. Yes, Bob?
You mentioned something about evaporation. I mean, most of the water evaporates, it doesn't get discharged.
Yeah, so, the lake is 11.4, it probably will go down another 6 to 12 inches before the rainy season starts, which is, again, it's good right now. This is an unusual year, and we're trying to regrow the lake. Most of it is evaporation, but actually the farmers use a whole lot of water this time of year too. So, and again, for this year, this is a good event. We don't want to do this every year, but this is really good for right now.
But
Jackie?
there's no numbers on what evaporation occurs. I mean, everybody says, yeah, evaporation occurs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Today, 7,260 cubic feet per second evaporation right off the lake.
Yeah, it's about 6
It's on the
inches.
Corps' website.
Yeah, it's about 6 inches in the month of May. So, Jackie?
Yeah,
I just had to say something because I was a guest on Dr. Gray's airboat. And it was a remarkable experience. And if you think he's like, you should see this guy put this boat up on his truck trailer, man. I thought it was like, he was just very talented with this boat. It was amazing, because I've never been on one of those boats, I don't think. But I could not believe, and I know Dr. Gray loves the lake, it looked rough. The lake looked rough to me, but the amazing thing was the incredible bird life. And they may not be nesting, but they are eating or hanging out. There were hundreds of birds and all these different kinds of birds. And Dr. Gray would go like, "Oh, that's a still over there, but still not, Doc." You know, he'd like say the Latin, like, "What is that?" It's like, "Oh, black-neck stilt," or whatever it was. I'm like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, that's a really pelila sudomi kalaga." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I've heard of that." And I mean, there were all these birds. It was just incredible. And like, we went down this awful canal to somewhere. And even in the awful canal, I mean, there were, I must have seen 15 blue herons flying in front of us with their wings extended like pterodactyls. I mean, it was an amazing experience. And that lake, Dr. Gray was saying, well, just tell them how like they come and they live there during the summer, all those different birds and the pelicans, the white pelicans. Just tell them how they come here and they go to the Arctic.
Yeah, so one of the things we saw with the shallow water and the mud flats was a lot of shorebirds. And those are, you know, when you go to the beach, that little sandpiper that runs up and down the ways, there's a whole group of them. There's about like 20 kinds, and almost all of them nest in the Arctic Circle. And they're world-class travelers. They will double their body weight before they take off, and it's in fat. And that's their gas tank. And they can fly for days at a time. They can fly, like some of the big ones they fly for the entire week. And so when they get here, the smaller ones can't do that, but they can do like 4-day flights. And you know, think about trying to sleep, where do you get water? It's just physiologically astonishing. But when they get here, they've got to get fat. They've got to find food. They've got to arrive at a lake that has resources. And so, you know, the lake's important not only for us, but for, you know, migrating birds. Your estuary is the exact same thing. It's a spawning ground for shrimp and for crabs and for groupers and snappers, and those things spread out into the ocean, and they affect ecosystems far away from here. So when we're talking about saving our own resources, we're talking about saving resources for huge areas and lots of people. So, thanks, Paul.
Actually, I have a loaded question for you, Paul. The deep injection wells, you say they are been promoted. Do we have any idea what group we can reach out to try to let them know that, other than the South Florida Water Management District, is there a particular group that actually is promoting this? Without, it's a loaded question, so.
Well, yeah, the water supply users, ironically, are the ones that want to get rid of this water during wet periods. The same people who want water right now are trying to get off against the access right now. But, you know, right now, yeah.
But right now, the question is asked of the governing board: do they want to continue pursuing deep injection wells, or do they want to look at these other things that are Everglades restoration, like reservoirs and, you know, water storage and water supply features? And so it really is something that the governing board is going to decide very soon. And so it's very timely to put this on the website right now, saying we don't think this is the best avenue to pursue. And that's one of those items that's going to be considered at the next governing board meeting even. So if they hear from us that we think they should pursue other things that are more robust, you know, with a store and treat water, then that's a better approach.
Just real quick.
We're running out of time.
Could we put together a letter from the Rivers Coalition saying that we're opposed to deep well injection and call it for what it is? Is that something we can do?
In the past, we have gone against it.
Well, the governing board's only taking comments on this site for like 4 more days before the governing board meeting. So like 4 days, you get a comment on there, so the governing board will hear it in the next meeting when people said, here's what we think about it.
I would urge you as private citizens as well as representatives for your groups to write letters to the South Florida Water Management District and to show up on the next workshop meeting.
Or you can just get on the website and just say, I don't like this approach.
What are the dates, I should know this, but what are the dates for the workshop and the meeting? It's the 7th and 8th?
8th and 9th.
8th and 9th. 8th and 9th.
That's the 8th and 9th of the water management. Yes, so show up at the workshop.
So Wednesday to Thursday.
Thank you.
Ready?
Marty!
we turned in our LOSUM stuff, and it is what I spoke and said at the meeting that was held down south, and we are adamantly opposed to ASR and the estuary protection wells. Let's see, Jackie.
Yes.
My attorney told me that I can't go to any meetings until this lawsuit thing is all the way over. I wanted very badly to be there and honor you,
Oh.
my friend.
I forgot about it when I
couldn't.
asked you to read that thing, but you tell them what it is, and I think the lawsuit was withdrawn.
Well, it was, but he told me to stay away.
Okay, just
until
tell
such
him what
time
you're
as you guys
talking
deal with it.
about.
The governor gave, he ordered the water management district to issue what we believe to be illegal leases. There was no 3-week public comment thing. The Florida Wildlife Federation, and they asked me, not Indian Riverkeeper, but me, Marty Baum, to be a litigant. We sued. We went through some stuff. We negotiated in good faith with Sugar. They negotiated in good faith back. We reached an agreement that the state of Florida, with the Governor Scott guardrails, would not approve. So it's all sitting there, and until water management deals with this, I've been asked to stay away. But I wanted to honor you, my friend. I really did. So my apologies. Conservation Alliance of St. Lucie County, I spoke to them a couple weeks ago. It was good. Spoke to the humanists on Easter Sunday. On the 20th of May, I'll be speaking to Pelican Island Audubon, which is something I've been wanting to do for some time. Let's see. I have good news and bad news today. Good news. Waterkeeper Florida met with Tom Frick, FDEP in Orlando, to discuss the upcoming triennial review of our water. In attendance were 6 of 13 keepers. Andy Hayslip, Tampa Waterkeeper, had a Sunday night emergency and had to cancel. John Casani, our Calusa Waterkeeper, had to actually turn around on his way and go back home for a sewer spill. We opened up with Tom Frick discussing the last Environmental Regulation Commission meeting. It was not a good meeting. John Moran went up and took an empty seat, and I got to tell you that if he had not done that, if they hadn't come off the wall and grabbed him by the elbows and marched him out, it would have been me, because I had just lost my temper with somebody standing up there for 20 minutes trying to convince this commission to poison my children and grandchildren. I met with Drew Bartlett at the Everglades Coalition and apologized to him for my less than savory conduct while he was speaking. Okay, the first thing that happened after that was Tom started making excuses for reducing our protections. I vehemently objected to this, as did Lisa Reineman. Our position, and Lisa articulated it powerfully, is that our water already has too many pollutants in it right now. Any additional reduction in protections is counterproductive. There's a lot of good reasons to not further degrade our water. I made it abundantly clear that we needed to demand clean water. We continued discussions on the harmful algal bloom task force about a stream index attached to that, a report site for all algal issues. We urged FDEP to follow science and to push back on politics, making human health and safety their top priority. The guardrails are different. First time, we've met 3 times in 6 months. The first time we had Governor Scott guardrails, now we have Governor DeSantis. The Governor DeSantis guardrails seem to be a whole lot better, especially when the director of the FDEP says, I have been empowered with an executive order to reestablish and refund the harmful algal bloom task force. That's a big deal to me, to us. I brought up our hepatitis A cluster. I told him that we were disappointed that 19 folks and 3 people had to die before we got our first press conference from the health department and from elected officials. I told him that really they didn't tell us anything. It was just a political exercise to look good. I pointed out, I'm being asked, Marty, is it the water? Is it the septic tank? Is it the biosolids? There's nothing out there by the state that really helps me explain to you. I went online and looked, but I was hoping for an official statement, and it did not come. Now, I pointed out that hepatitis A seems to have an affinity for fecal issues, human poop. And I pointed out that we have 19 people in a cluster in a place, Palm City, where we historically have all year round enteric bacteria problems. You know, at about this point, John Quarterman, he jumps in and he goes, if you look at the hepatitis A map, they are concentrated around places that they are depositing biosolids in the center of the state. I would point out to you, they're dropping biosolids on the sod fields on the 44 basin out there, and it gets discharged to us directly. So, I told him that we needed better help, better information. He seemed to think that they would be able to take care of that for us, so we will see. This issue is about to be a big one. 7,000 acre farm in St. Lucie County wants to do biosolids. You know, and they put a little bit of lime in this stuff, and they call it fertilizer, and ag is hiding behind the right to farm, and they are, they're demanding to be able to use this particular kind of fertilizer because it is free. Here's an important date, and everybody in this room should be there. May 15th in Hope Sound is going to be our first opportunity to engage in a workshop for this year's triennial review of our water quality. There is no, I went on the website before I came, they haven't said where or when exactly. I'll get that out. We need to be.
I got it.
Do you?
It's at Jonathan Dickinson State Park, May 15th at 9 a.m.
There you go.
Also Kimball Education Center.
There you go, that's a big place and it's really nice too, actually, that place. So, we need to be there. This is our water. The last two environmental regulation commissions, the state of Florida stood up there and tried to double our exposure to 42 known carcinogens. I don't expect that to happen under these guardrails, but they have happened in the past. We need to pay attention. Okay, not so good news. After multiple years and 3 efforts by Johns Island to punch a hole, you know, I'm not done. We need to punch a hole under the lagoon and bring gray water to the island for sale. You know, this is the 3rd time. We beat them this week at the commission meeting in Indian River County, but they're already back at it. So we're going to have to make this fight again. Sadly, despite Dr. Greg Gilmore, Dr. Lisa Soto, Dr. Richard Baker, all speaking for the environment, it was a threat of a lawsuit that prevented the BOCC from moving forward. The worstest news, Mayor Orbeck of Port St. Lucie is talking about running a bridge across Herman's Bay again. We need to fight that. That was the beginning of this program. They tried to do that back in 2000. They fought. The Treasure Coast Environmental Defense Fund was put together. When it was over, they won. Indian River Keepers result. So, listen, we need to keep that in mind. That's a big damn bridge. And there's no reason for it. What they really want to do is put a $1 billion resort out there on the skinny part of the island. It's going to be underwater in 20 years. Do I see a hand?
I just wanted to, is that going from the mainland to Hutchison Island?
Yeah, right at Walton Road. That was the purpose of the cross down. So, with that, I guess I'm done. Jim's up here to chase me off again.
And I was